Good to go. Hey guys, welcome back to another Plasticast. I'm joined here by Megamus
What's up?
and Dawn.
Hey,
Cyberg got a little sick chasing red cars, so he won't be here this week. So, um, the best wishes to him. Hope he's gonna feel better next week. But I'd say there's been something that's been kind of boggling all of our minds as of lately, especially with all these newer reveals and newer toys coming out. And Don had come across some stuff that his wife kind of brought up with collecting. So we're going to elaborate on that this evening. So, and Don's also in his collection room.
yeah, this is for those of you who may not know. This about 2 years ago, we lost Massive, who was my cat for well over 12 years. He was my mom's, and my mom gave me to take care of him because she just couldn't take care of a kitten by herself. He was a lot of energy. So this is the cat cave. This is where he used to come and hide from the world and curl up in an old recliner that we still have that recliner. So if you hear me call it the cat cave, you know why. And I'll have a picture of Massey here somewhere on the wall, just in his memory. Um, but yeah, my wife and I usually like watching some videos together. She likes View from Toy Grind. She loves View. We also watch Bobby Skullface's videos, usually on Saturday, the sit down Saturday, where he does some discussion. And this is some stuff that my wife came up with, who is not by any means into this stuff. She knows about it through me, through osmosis, by living with me. And I think it's a really good that she sees stuff that we might be aware of or we know about, but we don't think about that much. So I thought it'd be interesting to try to discuss some of those topics tonight.
I think that's
Right?
a,
Like,
I think it's an excellent idea. I mean, the ideas you gave us were pretty spot on. So,
like a view from the outside.
mm-hmm.
A fresh perspective kind of.
Because us being collectors, we're kind of hit with it consistently, but seeing an outside's ideas of this is kind of interesting. So,
Mm.
go ahead and fire away like one of the questions that she had.
Well, she was like, okay, all this new stuff is coming out, which is great. For someone that's been in it as long as I have, when we go from stuff like Armada, Energon, Cybertron, I'm not going all the way back to G1 because that's its own thing. But they were good figures. I mean, look at Cybertron Optimus Prime versus the Galaxy Optimus Prime they did from this, a few years ago, and those are both leader class toys. So it's been getting better and better and better and better. Look at the Classic Seeker. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with the Classic Seeker at all. Look at this new Seeker coming out from the Voyager price point. This new Thundercracker. They're always getting better. They're always making new stuff that we want. What happens if they have new stuff coming out and we have nowhere to put it?
That's the big question.
I would say that's probably and no matter what you collect, even if you collect world's smallest, if you collect micro machines, yeah, you would have a lot more time before you hit that limit. If you collect blockies or blockies, I should say, you will have a lot more time before you hit that limit. Uh, but yeah, it's something that weighs on my mind a lot because I have all you see here, an entire room over there, and a 10 by 10 storage building. Because I never did the purge. I never stopped and thought, okay, I have my I have my classics, I have my Hinkai, I have my universe. They're wonderful. I love them. They mean a lot to me. But I do have better representations of those figures. Whether you agree that, say, a Generations Red Alert is better than well, new Generations Red Alert is better than old Generations Red Alert, things like that. Um, I never did the purge. And so now I have way more stuff than I have room for. That's why I have a 10 by 10 storage building that I have to pay $200 a month for. So I don't know what to do because in my head I have a fairly decent plan for this room, for that room. But I cannot 80th montage myself to it to where it's done. I wish that'd be my superpower. If I could just montage my way through projects and just be done with it, that'd be the coolest power ever. But I don't have that.
I think you just are missing the right background music. You just got to find that right background music, and it'll just click.
Yeah,
I
I'm
haven't
thinking.
found it either, so if you find it, let me know.
Yeah, I will. It will definitely the music. I've tried the touch. It doesn't work. Touch is a wonderful song, but it does not work for a montage. Uh, so yeah, I am looking at. I need to get rid of. I either need to stop buying stuff, and there's so much cool stuff coming out. I don't want to not get it because it's FOMO. Granted, a lot of this stuff will be out there on down the road. Some of it won't. So and it comes back to what we discussed before. Do we get it now, even though we don't have room for it? Or do we want to risk paying the late tax later? Because I did that on the Cobra Hiss. I wasn't collecting classified at the time. Then I got into it after the Hiss had already funded. Then I saw reviews on the Hiss. Oh my God. Look at that tank. And I was like, I had to get it. And I paid about $125 late tax. I did Dotonomics it down for the most part after the fact. But still, I paid a little over $5 for the complete. It was the complete package with all the tiers filled. But have I sold enough to really make room for it? No. And most of the stuff I have, despite it being meaning a lot to me, and the time, the effort, things, intangible things beyond the money I spent, and what they mean to me because they represent how I was at the time, that I'll never be that Don again. I'll never be that Don at that time again. It's like being the Doctor. You know, if you're familiar with Doctor Who, every Doctor remembers being the Doctor before, but they're completely different. You remember being that person, but you're not that person now. So as you progress through your life, you're the same overall arching person, but you have periods that are like they're your individual doctors. You were this kind of person at this point. You were this kind of person at this point. You were kind of this, and so forth. See, that's why I'm glad my wife didn't meet me 20 years ago, because that was a very different Dawn than what she has now. But I never did the purge. I never got rid of that stuff. I never said, okay, I have this brand new Earthrise Starscream. It's really good. I have this classic Starscream. I don't need this Starscream anymore. I should sell it for whatever I can get out of it, but I never did. So that's the problem I have now. I have an entire house. All of my collection, okay, 99% of my collection is down here. So I want upstairs to be a normal human house. I have a few things here and there, and a few things in the office where I usually do the podcast. But my world is now down here, and I ain't got enough room. I don't know what to do. What do y'all think? Well, Megan, you've done the purge
Several times.
Yeah. How do you make your whatever it is that says that finally makes me, hey, you need to sell a bunch of crap or do something with it. I've been doing it a piecemeal, but it's so hard to let this stuff go.
Well, let's see. So, for those that don't know, at one point I had every G1 character, every G1 toy made. And if it was Came in a box. I had it boxed. I had all of it. And then I started moving into, I think it was BotCon 2000. Because I believe it or not, guys, pre-internet and everything, knowledge was sparse on Transformers. I had no idea about the Japanese, the European differences and what they were. I knew nothing about it. And I went to this show and oh my gosh, all this stuff I didn't know about. So then I started doing that. Then I saw Diaclone. What is that? Figured that stuff out. Started buying all that. So I had never had a complete collection of like Diaclone. I pretty much had a complete collection of the Japanese exclusive, and I had a full run of US released Transformers. And it took up a ton of space. It got to the point, and when I knew it is when I was like tracking down something, and I've been tracking it down for months, and I don't even remember what it was. And I finally got it. And I got it, and it was great. And I had the box, and I know the perfect place to put it. And I go over, and I go to my shelf, and I move stuff around, and there it is. I bought it months ago. Totally forgot. And I'm like, this is just too much. I don't even know what I have. So that was the first purge. So basically anything, if I had duplicates, stuff like that, got rid of all that. Got rid of that and had a little more space. Well, guess what happens? Hasbro keeps pumping stuff out. So I bought some more stuff. Well, I'm running out of room again. So then for me, what I did is I broke it down in series. What I didn't like, what I did like, I started Micromasters. Okay, or I didn't really have a fondness for them. So I sold that portion. Then came over to Action Masters. Dude, I love me some Action Masters. I'm going to keep that. Let's skip that. Go on to Pretenders. Got rid of all my Pretenders. Never was a fan of the movie, believe it or not. So the movie series stuff, sold all that. And I said, I'm going to keep the first ones. The first original, what is it? 84, 85, 86, that. And my Action Masters. Love them. And so the cutting down on that G1 collection, I did it in chunks. Okay. Other things, like we were just talking about, classified. I had the His tank. His tank takes up one whole shelf of a display case. I'm not talking DTOF, because it won't fit in a DTOF. It takes up a lot of room. And I'm like, okay, I have not displayed one classified figure ever. Opened them out of the box, displayed them a little bit, made sure the joints were good, made sure that they were, it was good, put it back in the box, boom, went no tote. So one of the things I've been doing recently is I'm getting rid of the whole classified collection. So I'm doing that. And some of it is about I've always been, and I've been doing it for years. The money I make goes right back into the collection, keeps me going, pays for itself. However, whatever makes you sleep easy at night, buying this stuff, do it. Okay? And then there's other things that have happened, like I got into comic books, this, that, and the other. But as far as space goes, it's like, what are the two biggest problems a collector has? Money and space. Money and space. Well, I got this big dilemma. I don't know if I want to buy this one or this one. Well, that's a good problem to have. Not being able to buy either because you don't have the money or the space, that's a different problem. So for me, cutting it down, I did it in chunks. And aside from a few exceptions, like when I got rid of my Japanese stuff, I love browning. I didn't get rid of that, you know. So there were some exceptions, you know. When I got rid of my Pretenders, for some reason I gravitated really strongly towards the Pretender Juniors, and I have like 4 of them carded. So I didn't get rid of those, but like all the other Pretender stuff, I did. So I mean, there's some exceptions, but basically for me, cutting back was I did it in chunks, and that seemed to help. I guess that somewhat around a way answers your question.
Yeah. Well, it's like you did it in a much more manageable size versus me looking at the entire history of my collecting and I'm overwhelmed. I get down here and I'm working and I get overwhelmed and just have to stop because I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I don't know what to do next because everything is just everywhere all at
I
once.
I did this over the course of several years, and if I had to do it all over again in one lump, it would be it'd be a lot.
And that's
It
what
would be
I'm
a lot.
looking at is I need. That's why I did that toy show back in October, and piece per piece, everything I've sold, I've probably bought 1 for 1 since then, and it's just I try not to. I've mentioned this before. Y'all remember JD Church on RFC? We lost him about a decade ago.
I remember his collection. Yeah.
Yeah, and Brian Kilby and I split his collection and sold off what we could for his widow, Amanda. Um, and we all realized that we don't want to leave this for our other halves to deal with.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I'm 55. 55 maybe the new 40, but you know. So again, you have all this stuff bouncing around in your head like I need to find space for all this stuff. I need to move all this stuff. But in the very back of your mind, it's like, I want to be dead one day. I got to do something about this.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, it's like we know it, but we don't think about it.
Well,
it's too overwhelming.
it's one thing that I didn't talk about when I was heavy into buying. Excuse me, and just anything, and I was about halfway into the Japanese exclusive figures and everything, so I hadn't quite completed that run, and I saw a posting, and I'm trying to remember where I saw it. I want to say it was either on Craigslist or it may have been. I don't think it was Facebook. This was before Facebook. But in any case, basically it was there was this guy that was selling in lots Transformers, and some of the lots, like there was a set of what were they called? Light formers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that correct? The European equivalent to Road Caesar. That was light formers, right? Or was that called something else? In any case, that's what it was. Motivators. That's it.
Motivators. Yeah, that's right.
Motivator. Okay, so I saw that and I was like, I've been looking for this. So I put in. It was a online auction, and I put in for that, and I'm scrolling through, and then there's some Sparkabots that were the European ones. I've never seen those, so I put in for that, and I put in for that. I wound up buying I won like 7 lots. I mean, and for good prices. Well, going back and forth and emailing this guy, I find out he lives 40 minutes away from me. So I told him, I said, hey, just, we'll save this, that, and the other, and I'll just come by and pick it up. And I did. And when I go to pick it up, I was talking to him, and he's like, yeah, hey, I'm just trying to sell this stuff. I don't know anything about it. Would you help me? Sure. I go down into the basement and it's just full, you know, Japanese, G1, animated, statues, uh, graphic novels, all that stuff. Just tons and tons of it. And I started going through that stuff and everything. Well, I found out how he acquired that. And basically, what he is he is an auctioneer that was notified that an estate sale, or it was an estate that the gentleman had passed, and they went to get the stuff out of the house, and there was a lot of antique furniture, this, that, and the other, and that's what they were mostly interested in. And they came across this room of this stuff, and they had no idea. And this guy had dabbled in it, so they contacted him, irrelevant as it may be. What I got out of this was this was someone's collection, and they passed away, and it had to be sold. And it basically was, the family sold it dirt cheap, and I mean dirt cheap, like the price for two to go to the Bahamas and back, cheap. And that got me thinking. And then at one point he was like, look, I said, well, oh, look, you got a bunch of statues and stuff, and these are, some of them were worth like $400. He goes, they're all chipped and broken. If you want them, you can take them. And I did. They went into this guy's collection room with milk crates, the ones with holes in them, and threw all this stuff in there, threw it into a U-Haul, and drove it. They were broken, missing, stuff like that. That's what's going to happen to your collection if you don't make plans. Mm-hmm. That's what got me going, like, wow. Everyone that collects, they work really hard to try and make this your collection, make it stand out. Everyone wants your collection to stand out. Anyone that says, "Oh, I don't care how much it's worth," BS. You do, because it means something to you, and the monetary portion also means something to you. Whether or not you're going to sell it ever or not doesn't matter. You don't want to have a collection that's not. Who wants to have a collection of Beanie Babies right now? No one. Okay, so you take your toys and you put them on display, and you clean them off, and you dust them. You make sure they're all together. You get little baggies to put all the parts in it, and you label it, and you make it all this, that, and the other. You've taken care of this collection. Why? It stands to reason. Why wouldn't you want to make sure that it continues? So you have to plan ahead. And to bring this back into full circle, if this gentleman had started cutting his collection down, that he would have gotten more out of it in the long run, and his family would have. So doing it, if you're going to, piece by piece, may be the answer. And it's funny because there was a show, I can't remember what it was called, but anyway, and on this show, this guy would go and he would record on TV him going to these collections and digging and finding toys and this, that, and the other. And there was this one collector that kept saying, and he's actually somewhat prominent in the community, and he talked about how he wants to cut back on his collection. And so they go there, and they get the guy, they see the stuff, they make this big 30-minute series show, and basically the guy agrees to sell one item. And the comments went all over the place. Oh, what good did that do? He's supposed to be, selling and making space, and he sold one item. Sometimes that first item, selling it, will break the barrier to open the floodgates to allow the person to sell more. It might have just been one item, but that might have been the hardest one it was. And I know that when I first started doing, after I got what I knew was every G1 US release, the hardest part was the first sale.
Uh-huh.
But then once I did it, it made it easier. It was kind of like pulling that Band-Aid off. Once I started and you got okay, now it's I can do this.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned the show. There's a show on right now on HGTV called
Hmm.
Junk or Jackpot, where these people that have collections reach out to the host. I can't remember the gentleman's name right now. Um, and he looks at what they want. It's like part renovation, part intervention kind of thing. And he's like,
Right.
okay,
That's what they played this episode up. It was like
yeah,
and
because
actually, you know what I think it was?
what?
It might have been, isn't it when there was a show called Hoarders
Yeah,
Intervention or
I,
Collectors Intervention, something like that?
something like that. But
Yeah.
in this show, the people like, hey, they approach this guy and they say, this is what I need to make a change. This is what I want to do to my house. Here's the budget. They'll say, okay, for that much money, I can do this. If
Hmm.
you want that, I'm going to need X dollars more. And they help them look at their collection and say, what can you part with to get the money to make everything more manageable? The episode that was just on this last Friday was a lady that was a Wonder Woman collector. She had stuff that she had like the very first Mego figures before they went into the traditional Mego style figure. She had a copy of Wonder Woman #1. She had Nubia, which was the African American Wonder Woman that was extremely rare. He sold 4 comic books for $8,000,
Oh yeah.
which helped them get the money to do what she wanted to do. So there's ways of doing it, but I don't think a lot of us have those kind of options. Because I don't know. I mean, my stuff is scattered. I never curated my collection. I
Mm.
didn't keep. It's like I've got all my classic Seekers. Do they all have the missile launchers and the missiles? No, I do. Somewhere.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that helped me when I started getting rid of parts of my collection is my OCD is extremely high on that. I want I want to know it's complete, it's there, it's all together. All the run is right there. I can see it. It's all in order. Order was, and I get it. If I turned on the camera, you would see nothing but chaos behind me. This is me still trying to go through the transition of moving some of the stuff and redoing my collection room. It bugs me every time I come in here to see it. It's not as organized. But if you pointed to any one of these totes behind me, I could tell you what's in it, and I could tell you they're complete or what they're missing. And it's just so organization is definitely key. If you're looking at cutting down your collection, organization is key. Um, it doesn't hurt to have a game plan. I know it's old school, pen and paper, write it down. This is what my goal is to do. This is what I want to do. Believe it or not, a lot of plans are not put into motion, but if you write it down, it kind of forces you to go forward with it, type thing, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It steps towards actually obtaining the goal that you wish.
That makes 100% sense. Like, I agree with Megamus with the curating thing because when I did purges, because I've purged several times, Dawn, I tried to keep like like all my classic stuff together, my G1 stuff together, my movieverse stuff together. So that way, when I did decide to sell any of it, it kind of was like, okay, I'm gonna sell this piece, this piece, this one I'm keeping, whatever it is. And to me, it makes it easier to look at what you have. If you're like, okay, I'm gonna try to dig out all my classic Seekers. Well, I personally like, you know, the way Ramjet looks for the Henkai version because he's got the, the chrome or whatever. I don't like the other one. That helps you separate to get rid of the ones that you're like, I don't really want to keep that one. That's the type of purging I've done. Is I'm like, do I want this one or do I want this one? Which one is better? Which one actually means more to me as
Right.
the collector?
And
Not necessarily what the value of it is. It's more of what the value is to you.
yeah, and I'm getting to that. I mean, I should have gotten to this point a long time ago, but I'm finally getting to the point where I know it has to be done. And I mean, everything I sold at the toy show, I don't miss. It was, but again, I've probably bought piece for piece every one thing I sold. I've probably bought another thing for it. Uh, just here today, I've bought 4 or 5 things, but it's like I'm worried that they're like third party. Like one of them's an upgrade kit. If that upgrade kit goes out, I'm going to pay a lot more for it on down the road. And I've already invested in. At this point, it's a sunk cost fallacy. I've already invested in the Magic Square Combaticons. I bought the upgrade kit that gives them the Sunbow look. Um, because I'm afraid if I don't get it now while it's at its basic retail, and I had some reward points at a few places that I was able to use for this or that. Um, but again, I know I shouldn't have bought it. But I bought some stuff last night from an eBay seller. I bought the new Lio Convoy, the Takara enhanced version that's got the much better face.
Mm-hmm.
I got it. I got the new Barricade, the new movie Barricade, and I got a Masterverse figure. I've been wanting out all that for like $80 shipped for free. That Lyle Convoy is going for like 50 to 60 most places by himself. So it was like, that's a pretty good deal if I'm going to get it. And then this morning, I get an email that upgrade kit's in stock, and it was like, so it's FOMO. And I think there's some addiction to it as well. That dopamine hit or that. And see, that's my problem. I get something new and it goes in a box and my brain says, okay, when I get my shelves done, this is going, but it never gets there. So
Well,
anyway, that's,
I mean, that's part of the struggle, like we were talking about. Like when you get like a new figure that's going to come out, you got the older figure. Do you replace the ones on the shelf? Does the one just end up in a bin? Does he go next to the new figure on the shelf? That's the question. I guess that's the ultimate question when it comes to a lot of this stuff. Do you get rid of it? Do you keep it, or do you bin it? You know.
and the
Well,
thing, and
I
the
mean
thing is,
that's a whole different conversation in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
because binning it only delays the inevitable. Because all that does is make it easier for your wife or your whoever survives you to say, "Hey, I got this bin of my dad's toys. How much you want for it? $20? Okay, here." Because they don't know what that meant to you because you 6 feet under.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm not trying to be down. I'm just saying the logical thing is going back to the Seekers. I have this great Generations original classic Seeker. I have this Starscream. I love this Starscream. I enjoy this Starscream. I have Earthrise Starscream. I don't need this classic Seeker anymore because I have a technically better Seeker. So I should have gotten rid of that, but I didn't because that classics collection means something to me, reminding me who I was at that point in time. Now we've got this new Thundercracker coming out. We'll be getting a new Starscream from that in some fashion. Do I need to keep my Earthrise Seekers? I don't need to. I've got an objectively better toy, a better looking figure, but that Earthrise is something that means something to me. And I have to get past that. What's more important, the meaning something to me or having a manageable collection that I can enjoy? Anyway, that's
Okay,
No,
but
you're
let me
right.
ask you this: you've got G1 toys,
yeah,
right? Don?
yeah.
Did they make a new represent character of a G1 toy? Any of them? Sure, they did.
Yeah. But the G1 means
Exactly, but it means something to you.
yeah.
All right. I mean, I've got Criminy. How many primes are in this room? Oh my gosh!
Show's
But
not
I
that
still
long.
have my G1. I still
Yeah.
have my G1 over here because it means something to me.
That was funny. We did our 2026 predictions last week on RFC, and Christy's prediction while I was writing out what mine was, and I think she's going to win for the year. They're going to make a new Optimus Prime. It's going to be red and blue, and we will buy it.
Yeah.
They're coming out with a new Optimus Prime with battle damage now, so it's like she's done. She's done one. She's done one the year.
Okay. Well, I'll one up it. I guarantee there's going to be a Bumblebee too, and he'll be yellow.
Well, they are. They've announced the devastation.
Oh,
one.
there you go. I already won.
So
Here's a
anyway,
little
that's
fun thing. Here's a little fun thing. Not including artwork, paperwork, anything. Actual toy. And it will take forever for me to verify this. I challenge anyone to tell me how many Optimus Prime toys I have in this room. Just Optimus Prime. And if you ask me, I have no idea. But it's a lot.
it's like jelly beans in a jar, but you didn't count the number of beans yourself. You
No,
poured
I
them in.
gotta wait and count it afterwards.
Yeah. You poured them in a jar, put the lid on, and it says guess the number of jelly beans, and you won't know till you count them.
Right. It's a lot. It's everywhere.
I think that's
Um,
the biggest reason why I started purging like I did, because I was like, you guys know me, I'm a huge Wheeljack fan, but I felt like I wasn't doing Wheeljack justice by getting every single solitary version of him, and never doing anything with those toys. Like they were just a shrine to Wheeljack, is all it was, and I was just like, okay, what am I going to keep? It took me a long time to purge it all the way down, but I did end up just keeping my original Wheeljack from when I was a kid. I kept my G1. I got rid of all the rest of the other ones. Why is that? It's because it's the one that I have the most memories with.
so
You know?
we talk about memories, we talk about experiences and stuff like that. Here, I'm going to turn the camera off for this one because I think it's funny. Hang on. Come on.
Just gotta warm it up.
It's not that. It's
It's being
so stupid.
difficult.
No, it's the stupid screen. Oh, here it goes. So I don't know if you know anything about a Mac, but when you have two screens, two monitors, and you put your mouse down towards the bottom, the thing pops up with all the little apps and everything. Well, it covers the thing you click for the monitor. Anyway, here you go.
Hmm?
It's one of the newer.
Yeah, the
Devastation.
devastation of.
Yeah, there you go. Why'd I buy this? Well, because it came two packed with another figure I wanted. Okay. Why did I open it? I never transformed this one. I wanted the experience of transforming it. Okay, I did. That experience is done. All right, I'm going to get rid of this. All right, simple as that. This is going on the chopping block along with a bunch of other stuff. My point on that is that your experiences, your connections, and everything, they can be long term or short term. I got what I wanted out of this.
Mhm.
Now it's time to move it along.
Right.
Yeah, but Brett, that's just one toy. But that's not the only example.
Yeah, but it's like you said, it's that that could be someone's one thing that gets them to understand that. And the sad thing is, I know it can be done. I've done it. I don't want to do it because it means getting rid of the stuff and it means also to me losing money because
Okay, I'm glad you said that. Glad you said that. I got two schools of thought on that, okay? Only because of my life experience with this. When I sold the majority of my Japanese stuff, I made money. I made more money than I put into that stuff. Absolutely. A few years later, could I have made more? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But I don't dwell on that. Hey, who cares? I got what I wanted out of it. If you look at it, don't look at it that way. Man, if I just would have held on a little bit longer, it's worth more now. I could have made more money. You got what you wanted out of it. Move on. And then the other funny story is that during my purging, one of the things I had planned on purging is I have a whole bunch of the vintage knockoff goofy stuff. Your 4SARs, your converters, all that stuff. Just weird stuff. And I had meant to pull it out and put it up and sell it. And I forgot about it. Well, scrolling through Facebook, boom, 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 I see an article talking about different variations of a character, and they started talking about knockoff stuff. Then I found out there's a whole group about knockoff stuff. I joined that group. It brought back that passion, that love for all the knockoff stuff that I documented. I searched and I found and I did this stuff and everything. And now I don't want to sell it. Had I sold it, I would have regretted it. So I guess my biggest thing on this is if you're gonna cut your collection down, make sure that you really want to get rid of it. And it's still going to happen. You're going to get that, man, I regret it.
Yeah.
If you regret it because of the money, that's not a good reason. We print money every day. If you regret it because you missed the item, try not to be that person. I don't have the answer for you. Is that going to happen? Probably. Happened to me. But you try not.
There's a few things I sold in the past that I'm like, I shouldn't have gotten rid of. Like I had these they were knockoffs, but they were like semi trucks of like all different types. But they all combined just like your G1 combiners. They were just like limbs. They had a hole like in the cab so we can put a fist, and it flipped out just like, you know, like your regular combiners for an arm or a leg. It did either one. I had the entire run. I was like, oh, you know, I don't really necessarily need these anymore. I was getting rid of stuff, and I got rid of those. And now I look back, and I'm like, why did I do that? Because now they're stupid expensive to get a hold of anytime I see them. At the time, I think I paid maybe $3 a piece for them. So, it's like... so,
like I said,
that.
and if you had asked me when I was selling the stuff, and I thought about, I had a G2 Minosaur. Had two of them. Sold them both.
Mm-hmm.
Got what I wanted out of them. I photographed and documented as much as I could about everything about it. Is there a part of me that kind of is like, man, I really wish I would have kept that? Yeah. But I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that. I still remember the experience. I remember buying them. I remember doing, articles on them. I remember selling them. I have the bookends. I've got the alpha and the omega of my storyline with that toy, and I'm okay with it.
Well, I think that's ultimately what it is. It's like the story you have from whatever experience you had with said toy. like the G2 Minotaur unreleased, basically test shot prototype stuff that they sent as store samples and such. That stuff is insanely hard to get a hold of. Like you said, you created a story from it with what you did.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's like the biggest thing that I think some people need to take from this is you can create a story from what you've owned in your lifetime. Like when I go through Facebook and look through the pictures of my collection that I've had throughout the years, never once do you see really huge shelves full of stuff. It's always like a few robots here or there on a table, took together. I start going through there and it's like, oh, I remember how that toy worked. Or I remember how that was. I remember how awful that toy was because it didn't transform right or it had parts that popped off. That happens to all of us as collectors. And I think sometimes just photo documentation and seeing what you've had in the past.
I'll say that the pictures of my old collections and everything mean more to me. I mean, they do than actually still having the items, because they also, and sometimes for a, as far as being for a someone who's married, is not always the best thing, because like my wife and I will talk. You remember our first apartment? I'm like, yeah, I remember it. But you know what I remember? I remember all my toys and everything, and I had to keep them in the closet because we didn't have any room. Okay. You remember our first house? I do remember our first house because we used this bedroom over here, and I put my display together. And she's just like, really? That's what you remember? She's like, you don't remember the kitchen was set up like this? Not really, but I can tell you where the toys were, and I can tell you how my room looked. You know, so be careful. You know. But yeah, they're memories. It's all about the memories. You know, ultimately, at the end of the day, when you're on your deathbed, you're going to be thinking about the memories, and all this stuff's going to be someone else's problem.
Mm-hmm. And it's like we're saying, do what you can to maybe document. Like Don's like having to go through his stuff. He's trying to figure out what he's going to do with things. I personally think you should start going like, okay, these are all my classic stuff. Put them all in a tub. This is what this is. Same thing with like stuff. So that way you can kind of section
if you're
everything
looking
off.
if you're looking at selling,
shelf, you'll figure out what you're going to keep and what you're not.
right? But if you're looking at selling, then that's one thing. I can tell you one thing that I've done, and we talked about this at a podcast before. Even the stuff that I'm keeping, like I've got all my G1s. They're in the boxes and everything. If you pull, I bought these acrylic cases for them and everything, so they're all nice and pretty and everything. But if you pull those out and look underneath, you're going to see an index card. And the index card tells you what they are, you know, and all that, you know, that this is the 84, you know, Wheeljack. And it's this version and this and this. And that way, if something does happen to me and my family has to go through this, they at least got a leg up. Right. You know, Excel spreadsheets, documentation, writing everything down. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not morbid. It's being prepared. I mean, you know, there's two things in the world that you can rely on. And I'm sorry, but one of them is death. It's going to happen to everybody. So preparing is not a bad thing. Writing it down, documentation, all that stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. Organization's great. Yeah. But the good news is that the individuals, you know, your family and everything now, they have a lot more resources than we did. Is like Don and I when we were starting. Mm-hmm. You know, when you first started, was there anything out there that told you, okay, you know, Optimus Prime G1 had 4 missiles? Okay.
Other collectors,
collector
people
exactly.
Toy shows.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, he only had 2 launchers. Why do you have 4? He came with 4. Why? I don't know.
So in case you lost some.
Okay, Roadbuster. Roadbuster has 1 launcher. How many missiles did he come with?
4, I thought.
5.
Is it? Okay.
And the funny thing is if you look on the transformation on his leg, there's 5 slots with little fake missiles. There you go. Came with 5. Why? I don't know, but he did. There's documentation out there, so it definitely helps. So, kind of getting sidetracked on that.
Yeah. Well, I think if we're going to just sort of sum it all up, you're going to have, like what you were saying, Jason, what you were saying, Brett. You're going to have to figure out when you get something new.
Mm-hmm.
Does it mean more to you? Like, does it mean more to you having this version of this character than the previous version of the same character? Which one means more to you to have on that shelf? And I guess that's the best starting point you can have. It's like for like Jason, for you, the only other if you kept G1 Wheeljack, the only other Wheeljack I think you should have beside of that is the Origins Wheeljack, because it's box Wheeljack, and that was the first Transformer on the screen, the first one that ever transformed, and we waited 39 years to get box Wheeljack.
I haven't ever gotten one. I didn't ever see
Wait.
one in the stores.
Well, and here's the funny thing.
I probably would have got it.
Just on that character, okay? I would agree with you, but I would add one more. And I may be an exception. I absolutely love Masterpiece Wheeljack.
I had Masterpiece Wheeljack.
I think it's a great toy.
I transformed it one time from car mode to robot mode and stood on a shelf. I never put it back in car mode again.
That's 90% of most Masterpieces, by the way. They make them too damn hard to put together.
To me, I just think it was giving but to me, I was doing the toy a disservice because it stood there in one pose. I know some people want highly articulated stuff. That's wonderful. My thing is, how often are you taking it off the shelf and actually posing it unless you're doing toy photography all the time? That's my only question.
On your logic, then, all the box ones I have sitting on the shelf over here, I haven't transformed those in years and everything. I should get rid of those. But not the same thing.
Yeah, but I mean,
getting back to what you were saying about Wheeljack, though, yeah, the Cybertronian mode, perfect. I like it. I like it in that mode, not the robot mode. The Masterpiece, I think, yeah, the car mode looks amazing. I've got one in the box. It's G1, does the same thing. When you have him in robot mode, he looks good. To me, that covers it. Now, it's Christy, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. I couldn't remember. I just want to make sure it was Christy and not Christine. Christy.
Yeah.
You can tell her that absolutely. I will look at the next toy coming out, and if I think it's a definite improvement over one, I replace them. I'll replace them unless it has some other meaning. I like this, like if they came out with another Masterpiece, Wheeljack. We just use Wheeljack, and the car mode in Masterpiece is amazing. Let's say that in this particular instance they went with a different design. All right, and it's a freaking Porsche, whatever. But the robot mode looked way better. Then I might buy it. I keep in one mode and one in the other. So I can't really answer that question. It's more of a case by case basis on anything coming out. I will say this much. I picked up not too long ago that was it Star Convoy. Okay. I bought it. Kind of wish I had my old one back. I'll take a brick over this thing any day. So there's some regrets. So, yeah, this one poses a lot better than everything. It feels cheap to me. That's one instance. If we ever get Leo Kaiser, I'm sure I'll be happy with it. Hasbro, get off your butts. I know I say this every show, but come on, God bless it, I need it. I may like it, I may not. Who knows? Case by case basis.
And Death Cobra's just going to stay in the box because he's going to forget about him.
Oh, I don't even want that damn thing.
you'll probably be able to sell it, make some money back on the rest of the set.
I know, but
But
then my OCPD goes,
I know,
it's not
I know.
complete. It's
Yeah, it's
I
not
broke the
complete.
box.
But here's the thing, though. It's the first actual official
Hang on,
Death
dog.
Cobra. It's the other than official, it's the first one. Our factory did do the small Death Cobra for their Legends class Lyle Kaiser, so it's nice. Did y'all move on to the other
Real
one other
quick,
topic? Okay.
technically, there was one before that. Head robots.
Oh,
Oh yeah, that one.
I
That one. Yeah,
I do
I
have
remember
wow,
that one now.
wow, that takes me back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did do
He's
one.
right
I
on
have
that one. I remember that one now.
I forgot about that.
neat little recolor.
Yep. Did y'all move on to one other topic? For
We're
the
ready.
night?
Sure.
Okay.
Go
All
ahead.
right.
Ready.
Okay. This is something
With
else.
it.
Again, watching Bobby Skullface's video. And I like Bobby because he kind of just tells you the good and the bad. And he says, I don't know X, but this is what I think. So he's not preaching gospel. He's just saying, this is where I see the threads are going. And he mentioned he had a wish list and figures he's looking for coming up for 2026. And guess what was on it? Make toys highbrow. How long have we been waiting for that Make Toys highbrow to come out? I don't remember. I've had it on order at Show Z for at least 4 years, if not more. And this is the point Christy raised. One, why are other companies not seeing this massive gap and going and making a figure to fill that gap for the people wanting to buy that? And two, if another company came out with that figure today, but it was more than what you had originally wanted to pay, would you be willing to pay more to go ahead and get it? Now, I told her that is an absolutely awesome thing. There's a couple of asterisks beside of it that the collectors are going to mention. For example, one, who's it by? Is it Impossible Toys, if they still existed? If it was one of theirs? Is it Fans Toys? Fans Hobby? Fans Project? I'm just saying, who is making the toy, and you know what to expect.
Dr. Wu.
Who? Dr. Wu probably.
Yes.
The other thing is that will this other highbrow fit the same look as the other two, Chrome Tome and Hardhead? Will it aesthetically match? And I'm thinking that's a very good question, especially the first part, because why do these third party companies not see these gaps that are being filled and coming in to make a toy to fill that gap? And I was telling her, part of the reason is that anything post movie does not get the attention that 84, 85, 86 in the movie gets, because they keep going back to that same well. How many Devastator wars we've had 3 rounds of Devastator wars at this point?
And you just took my opening statement.
Yeah.
sorry.
When the first part of that was, why don't they do, the toys that have the gaps and everything? And I was going to say, well, there's always more Devastators to make.
Yeah, but it's like, why did someone in that 10-year period not make a dead end that would work? Well, that may not be the best example, because you still had to have the trailer, though. But let's say there's a toy. Let's say that Blitzwing Fans Toys Blitzwing was announced. It took almost 10 years to get that toy out. Now, we did have Gewalt, we had Ditka, and then we had that Star Toys one. I've heard Ditka is absolutely terrible. I have Gewalt. I like him. I think he's fine. the Star Toys one, I've heard very good things about. Heard a few minor things about, but there was nothing between Ditka, which was 4 years ago, maybe, and the Star Toys, which was last year. So that's a good question. Why are these third party companies not jumping in when they see someone that's announced something? Because professional courtesy can only go so far because it's all IP theft. So how much professional courtesy do you have at this point? So what do y'all think?
I mean, my thing is with like third party stuff, it's always been kind of hit and miss. And them having such a gap, the biggest thing that raises a red flag, what was it? What was it? Was it Vans Toys? Was it the one, or was it Meg Toys that did the Minosaur, the G2 Minosaur, and took forever to get that Motor Master out?
Oh yeah,
I'm like, why? Like, at that point, you might as well have just forgotten about it because it took that long. I'm just like, I understand there's probably mix ups with them trying to get it manufactured overseas and all this garbage that's going on. And I'm just like, isn't there a point now? It's just like, why don't these third party guys just do garage kits like they used to do? Like, go back to the way it used to be in the way early 2000s where you had people building garage kits and selling limited runs of this toy. This is what I make, especially nowadays since everybody has 3D printers. Pretty easy to do, I would think. Especially in this day and age. I'm just like, I don't understand why. And I agree with you. Why aren't they filling these gaps? I mean, when's the last time we had, you know, landfill done? I'm not talking RID landfill, I'm talking about G1 landfill. Like, has there been another landfill since the original? Like, even a third party that I could think of. Just that silly little dump truck with the two Target Masters. I haven't seen one. Like, those small Target Master ones would be really simple for them to do if they use some of the engineering that's even already existing out there. I just don't know why it's taking some of these companies so long to jump on the board of, well, I don't know, the Omnibots haven't been touched very much. There's been a few, you know.
X-Transbots is finishing up their camshaft is coming out now.
Yeah.
So I just saw
How long has it
post-
took, though?
4 years, I think.
That's what I'm saying. By that time, aren't most people out of the game at that point? Like, I've got a team of 3, and it takes me, well, roughly almost 10 years to get all 3. But why is that? That's a decade to get 3 robot toys. Kind of ridiculous. I don't understand why don't they just design all 3 at the same time, and then release them within a few months of each other. Spend all that time refining that, and then announce the release and do it that way instead of, I'm going to put this one figure out, and I might put out the second one, and you may be lucky if you ever see the third.
That's because it's money.
Yeah,
Money's the reason.
yeah. Now, Megamus, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but my opinion always has been these characters, like the Omnibot, they're wanted, but will they sell better than a new shiny Optimus Prime or a new shiny Megatron or a Bumblebee that does something different or a Grimlock that does something different? Probably not. So that's why you see them going back to the same 84, 85, 86 well to get sales to do these other smaller company characters, I should say.
Correct.
That it's like we got now. It was not highly received, but X-Transbots did do a punch counterpart, punch James and Bond, which I love the name anyway. But that was not very. But it was the first counterpunch we've had God knows when. Probably ever since the Collectors Club version.
Correct.
So there's that. So, but if that didn't do well, are they going to immediately go into another Omnibot, another very low tier, low visibility character, without doing another Grimlock or a re-release of something? And I think that's part of the problem is anything after 86 or after the movie, you have a lot of people that don't want that. And they don't want the Target Masters. They don't want the Headmasters. They don't want Trigger Cons and Trigger Bots. I would love to see some brand new Trigger Bots. I think those are some great little molds. And they can be done in a much more affordable price range. I would love to see some G2 Terror Dive, G2 Jets, G2 cars, but the market for those is not near as prevalent as another Sideswipe or another Optimus or whatever the case may be. And also because people, so many fans, maybe they're a vocal minority, but you hear them say, we don't want the Headmasters. We think they're stupid. We don't like Target Masters. They're dumb. And it's like they have to go where they can to make the money to do these other characters. I don't think they're jumping in to do a brainstorm to fill in that gap because they're afraid it just won't sell.
Correct.
Despite the fact there's a built-in audience, because that company may not have they don't have any other Headmasters of their own for that to fit on a shelf with. And can they get it close enough to the Make Toys aesthetic that people will say, well, it's close, but it's like that new Thundercracker. Put that new Thundercracker on a shelf full of Earthrise Seekers. It ain't going to fit visually.
Well, here's an idea. Why don't these companies let people vote with their wallet like they used to do? Crowdfund it. When they crowdfund enough, they might actually be able to do a few extra ones to actually see if there's an actual interest in it. Because when somebody actually puts their money into something, they're going to want it. Much like Hasbro's been doing, kind of poorly, but I personally think third-party companies would have a better pull on that, considering
What
they
makes
have
you say that?
people. Well, I don't know. I think people that were like, say, Fans Toys fanboys, right? They really, really like those. But say Fans Toys is going to do some character that's just out there, like say a Masterpiece version of Browning. Not a very, very highly known character, but one that would get some people's attention. But they can only maybe test the waters by doing it through a crowdfund. I think that would actually be a better idea instead of them coming out to all these panels like they are, throwing up a bunch of CAD stuff saying you're going to get something and then not seeing it for a decade almost, which is kind of bad. To me, that's really bad for business, because at that point, people's more or less forgotten the name of your company and don't even know if it even exists at that point. It's kind of like a car company promising something that's a feature for a car, but they never come out with it. They give you an extremely lukewarm whatever it is that's not even close to what was promised. I think the crowdfunding thing would be better because at least they can take photos, show video to things, stuff like that actually being made and processed to show people where it's going. So that way they'll actually be more involved with the process. Because I think that's probably something some people would be very interested in. And seeing how is this thing being made? Is it being made with quality plastic? Is it being made with quality die-cast pieces? And is it being screwed together? Or is it being riveted together? Or is it all being super glued and I can never take it apart if it has a loose joint? People are interested in that kind of stuff. I think that's the biggest thing I've heard from a lot of people, a lot of problems with some newer figures that Hasbro's been doing, is everything's shot in with a rivet and everybody hates that because you can't tighten a joint when it gets loose. Some people hate that. So that's just that's just an idea I have that would probably help with that situation. But
Yeah.
to me, it's like I don't know. It's just about spending X amount of money for a third party figure and then never seeing it. Like you said, have something on pre order for God knows how long
Right.
for 4 or 5 years. Say, Don, say you have this one figure out there and say it's a $250 figure, right?
Mhm.
You completely forget about it because you're busy doing life. 3 or 4 years down the road, all of a sudden you have a $250 charge just come out of your account. And you're like, what the hell is this? I needed that to pay an electric bill.
Yeah. Well, I will say just for me, I usually don't pay up front for anything. I usually go to websites that let me pre-order and then I can cancel if need be. Um, but a lot of people they pay up front because they don't want those surprise budgeting bills, hitting them a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road. But one other thing is that how many places will still be carrying those figures if you didn't have the pre-order in? And it's still possible to get canceled. I had on pre-order at BBTS Toy World's clear orange Devastator
Oh yeah.
set. That would have been $2.99, and on pre-order for 3 years. It was finally canceled because they weren't going to get it because of the issues with Toy World. But I kept the pre-order even though I know the chances were less than a snowball's chance in hell of it actually being filled because with my Murphy's Law luck, the minute I cancel it, boom, it comes into stock. Boom, it's out of stock. Boom, I'm looking at the secondary market and paying a premium. So that's what I try to do is I try to get places that don't charge me till they come in. I last year had an issue with Mezco. One of my favorite films that I really hate is The Shadow. Every time I watch it, I hate it a little bit less. It's one of those like, I know it's bad, but I still enjoy it. I had a pre-order at Mezco for a reissue of the Shadow figure. They came back out with a new version of it. Didn't notify anyone on that had a wait list pre-order it was even coming out. Went up and sold before I even knew it existed. So what's the point of having even if it was a waitlist pre-order? You've got customers. I had that waitlist pre-order over a year for them to if they reissued that figure. I knew it was a small chance. But they went ahead and reissued a new version of that with a bunch of extra bells and whistles. And it would have been more than what my waitlist order was for, but it was still I was a customer willing to pay you money, and it's like, hey, we're coming back out with a new version of this figure. It won't be the same. We're letting you know that if you want it, it's going up X for being a loyal customer and wanting this figure. No, absolutely. And that's when I started reading about how terrible Mezco is on their customer service. But again, that's something I try to avoid. Is I try to make sure I have a pre-order up for this stuff and I keep it, even if we're running into 4 and 5 years, because you never know when it's going to actually come out. It's just frustrating because my wife raised a good point. Why are people not going in and making these figures that people are wanting? Now, the dead end you really couldn't do because you had to do the trailer, you had to do the car, you had to match their existing engineering, and there may have been whatever professional courtesy there may exist between these companies, give or take. Because that would be a kind of a crappy thing to do for someone else to come out with the dead end for their set before their set was done. It's like Spaceballs. The movie is on VHS before the movie's even done. It's that kind of thing. But yeah,
Baseball.
yeah. But also the fact is, it's post movie. Post movie is either you love it and you want all of it, or you're a G1er, WNNER, and you don't want anything past the movie because it's stupid or dumb or kiddified or whatever the case may be. Because I've heard all that used Don't get me started about the people who don't like the rebirth. I got some strong words for them that I will not share in public. Because y'all know me in rebirth, so there's that. It's the most wonderfully terrible thing I've ever watched. Next to The Shadow, I guess. But yeah, that's my thought. Is that they're not going to jump in and fill these holes, because most of these holes are your post movie characters, and they're afraid to spend the money to even crowdfunding. Even crowdfunding has a initial cost, because you've got to have something more than just a CAD model. You could probably do a CAD model and be good enough, but would that be enough to get people to trust you? Now, I recently backed my first Kickstarter in probably well over a decade. The last Kickstarter I backed was for a role-play game, Battle Chasers Night War, based on the comic book series. Love the comic book. Joe Maduria was the guy behind that. And the only reason I backed that was because at that tier level, you got the game and you got the final 3 issues of his first 12-issue arc that he never got a chance to complete. That was maybe a decade ago. I backed the Mighty Orbots Kickstarter. In case y'all didn't know, Mighty Orbots, they were working in conjunction with Ramen Toy, who y'all may know Ramen Toy, and that there's already tooling done, there's already packaging done, so they did a lot of reduce the jitters work. So when you went into the Kickstarter, you would have a better, comfortable feeling that, hey, this is not going to turn into vaporware. Am I 100% happy with it? Not really. I wanted something a little more modern, but they're making it as if it was made in '84. So I can respect them for sticking with the toy that we would have gotten at that point. So I did back that. But again, that they did a lot of upfront costs to allay people's fears to get them to feel comfortable enough to back this project. With HasLab, you're a little more relaxed in your feelings because you know it'll get done. Now, will there be QC issues? As we all know, we've all had some QC issues with several.
All of them.
Well, not yeah, not
Someone has had a problem with every one of them.
yeah, but your overall jitteriness. If you were going to give $300 to Hasbro for a HasLab, you would have concerns. But your feeling of, am I ever going to get this, is not going to be there near as bad versus a Kickstarter that's just a CAD image from someone you may never have heard of. Now, if X Transbots or if some of these other companies did the what I'm going to call them proto Kickstarters, made to orders, I guess is a better word for it, like what Pulse did for the Arctic Hiss, So that way, they did pre-orders. You didn't pay up front, and you can cancel up until you're charged and ready to ship. That, I think, is what they need to look at. But again, these third-party companies, despite having a lot of name recognition, is like, okay, we're going to make... Okay, this is going to blow y'all's mind. This is what I would buy. Spanner from Marvel Comics 1819, when they go back to Cybertron, the actual space bridge that has a robot mode. That is something I would buy. And because it would be so cool if it connected like the Ark and the Nemesis, and they made it to connect the two, and it had its own robot mode and everything. Or if they made the hologram that Hound used in SOS Dinobots, which was the if they made that Autobot. I know someone has 3D printed one, but I'm saying if they actually made it, that would get my attention. But again, being a third-party company, it would have to be someone I know. But again, let's say Fans Toys did it. Let's say they're making that holographic Autobot. He has a full transformation. It's Fans Toys. Took 9 years for Dead End. 10 years. They've got their Technobots coming out. I want. All I have is the Warbitron Technobots. That's all most of it. That's all any of us have. Although I do have the Legends, the Craftsman toys. I do have the Legends scale Technobots because they're. I mean, look at that guy. Look at that nose cone. That's freaking nose cone. No matter no matter how you slice it. But I would be worried. I'll be dead before those Technobots were done. Knowing Fans Toys.
Yeah.
Bingo Toys is doing them. I've got Jesse. Jesse is a great figure. That's five robots as a combiner.
Yeah.
That's an investment. Time, money, and a lot of luck.
So what is your opinion on all this, Megamus, when it comes to like these companies dragging their feet, not doing what they possibly could do with some of this? Like, what do you think?
I'm not a fan of third party at all. I tried several times to get on the bandwagon, and I was burned every time. Sorry. So, I'm just not a fan. The quality, the customer service, everything, I'm just not a fan of it. You'd mentioned about crowdfunding and all that, and I'll just throw it out. I mean, Hasbro isn't getting a lot of backers like they thought they would get. You think a third-party company that I'm going to be generous and say 70, 75% of the fandom even know about, they're going to get backed? I think you're just pissing up a rope on those. It's just not going to happen. And they know that. So when they put something out, especially like you talked about the Omnibots, and they put, we're going to do 3 of them, or you expect them to do 3 of them, they only do 1. It didn't do so well. Dude, let's move on to something else. This didn't work. Money. It's all about money. Why do you think third-party companies even exist? Original third-party companies existed because they wanted toys that Hasbro wouldn't make. Okay, I get that. It's not like that anymore. Otherwise, we wouldn't have 14 different Devastators by different companies. It's been done. All right? It's money. They want to grab the money. And unfortunately, some of these companies, they cut the costs everywhere else to get that almighty dollar. And that includes quality, customer assistance, and meeting a deadline. So, for me, I can't get behind any of them. I'm sorry. If you're not going to take care of your fans, you ain't worth anything to me. And yes, Hasbro's slowly getting that way with me too. And it has to do with pricing. Sorry. You can say whatever you want, existential reasonings or whatever. But at some point, Hasbro, you're going to stop losing my loyalty because you're going to price yourself out.
I think that's where they're at right now. Is a lot of people are not buying because they're too expensive.
The only reason I bought that
Thunder. Let's be honest with that Seeker. It's coming out right now. Honestly, compared to everything else, do you think it's worth that price tag?
Well, I'm a little biased because I found mine at the Walmart across the woods, and I had it on pre-order at the $34.99 price point, and I got them to match it. So by getting a new Voyager at the old price, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to try this mold any cheaper because it was just the way it was. Because even the pre-order now at that point had gone up to $42.99. I just got it lucky when it first went up. So XV has it and says he hates it for how good it actually is. So again, it's back to our original topic that, once I get mine open and mess with it more, am I going to be looking at replacing my Earthrise Seekers?
You may not.
I may not, but if it's that good and looks that bright,
But here's the thing. Here's something that I think Hasbro needs to definitely look at. Um, when we would go out looking for the new toys that were coming out, you were just excited to find it. You saw it on the shelf, dude. I mean, I'm gonna grab it before you do. That was it. Okay. And now you see it on the shelf, you pick it up. All right, well, no one has price tags anymore, so you go over and you scan it. You listen to the price, and you're just like, I wonder if I can get this cheaper, or I wonder if it's going to go on clearance. And that, in a nutshell, is what's wrong with Hasbro.
Is it going to end up at Roscon?
Right? Am I going to be able to get it cheaper? Because it's not. No longer is it just I want that figure. I really don't want to overpay on this figure because I might be able to get it cheaper, or it might go on clearance, like I said. So shame on you, Hasbro. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's kind of like back when a lot of us were collecting the Generation stuff when a lot of those figures were like $12, $13 a piece. Now they're like almost double, triple what the heck they were before. A lot of us still had that mindset of, why am I giving that for this figure that's literally like the same, pretty close to the same parts count, pretty sure the same quality of plastic. It has the same kind of heft, but it's like almost triple the price now. What? It just the math just doesn't math in my head when I look at them.
No, it doesn't. And I'll give you an easy example. All right, $40 for a mini bot. Someone justify that with me. Try.
where are you seeing 40 on a mini bot?
That's what they were like $30-something for that at Walmart.
Online they were 24.99.
No, maybe it was 35. It was Braun. No, Gears. It was Gears, the Walmart exclusive one.
Right, Gears was $24.99 online. In the store, they were $29.99.
Okay, $30.
Yeah,
it's still.
Yeah,
I'm not paying $30
it's
for it.
Right. And I think part of the downside of having the internet is we know what's coming out through leak and actual reveals months before it even comes out. And also, those dates may not even be valid because it can come out way early. Like how much stuff on Pulp has been ordered and set up for, say, January or February, and then it winds up shipping in November or December because they're trying to get it out for the holiday season. Or it's on order at Amazon, order on Pulse, and Amazon has it 2 months early, or the same price, or maybe $1 or $2 higher. So pre-order dates aren't guaranteed anymore. We could plan for it, but it still may hit early. It still may hit late. It may not hit at all. It's just, it should not be this hard to give people money for toys.
No. And I think that you should be getting more for your money.
Now, it's like, I'm going to bring up something I got last week. Y'all know the Audrey, they're blind box figures, but you can find places that are selling them individually. They're kind of like small red figures, if red was good.
Mm-hmm.
I got Ricochet from that assortment. It was this Target Master. The Yellow Park version that I believe is going to be a BotCon exclusive is a straight Jazz repaint, Target Master. So there's that. But he's got multiple hands. He's got his Target Master. I think he does have the regular Jazz gun there. This was $20. And this is all I wanted from the case. So I had to do some work to get it. But I feel like I got my money's worth for it because I didn't have to buy the rest of the case. then have to piece out the case to make most of my money back. But finding this stuff, knowing about it is one thing. Finding it is getting to be so difficult. And for Transformers fans, we have it fairly easier than other fandoms. Look at your Gundam. How many Gundams are Japan only? That you have to go through multiple middlemen to get, or their 7-Eleven, like our 7-Eleven Optimus Prime. I got one, but it took a lot of work and some Dononomics from hell to get it to be affordable. Um,
Probably the same thing with the Evangelion Prime, right? That one was
yeah,
an
well,
easy get a hold of.
I bought the KO. I bought the KO for like $75. That didn't have the trailer. Um, this hobby is exhausting. My friend Richard, who was one of my groomsmen at my wedding, has told me that he's worried about me because I'm devoting so much mental energy to trying to Dononomics and stuff, so I can feel better about buying it.
Mm-hmm.
He's told me that he's like, Don, you are working harder at this hobby than you are at your job.
Well, I
But
mean,
that's what
you put your love where you want it. That's
right.
one thing some people need to
But
understand.
yeah, but the thing is though, he is right to a degree that I'm doing this so I don't feel guilty about buying it because I don't want to pay $42 for a. I mean, I paid $42 for one of these brawls because I am double dipping on Combaticons because Combaticons are my jam.
Uh-huh.
Other brawl I got lucky and got for 20% off at Target to sell this past week. You can't do that all the time.
No.
So it's like I've got that new DC McFarlane Zatanna on order because I love Zatanna. She comes with Detective Chimp. I'll be selling the Detective Chimp because I don't care anything about Detective Chimp. I'll be selling that figure separately to get some of the money back, paying for Zatanna.
Right.
But that's what you have to do to feel like you have to justify these figures. If I don't try, I feel guilty.
I mean,
There's probably something in that as well.
I can understand that because believe me, I am hyped about an actual Liege Maximo figure.
Mm.
I've been hyped about that ever since they announced it. You know, yeah, I have the little tiny Pile of the Primes guy. He's cute. I like him. He sits actually in my robot's thruster base. That's where I got him sitting right now because it's kind of funny. But I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to swallow that pill of how much it's going to cost for that figure when it comes out, because I can't justify it. It's going to be
Well, I mean,
close to 50, right, for him?
yeah, but here's the thing. You have to look at if the character that you like that doesn't he will not be getting a lot of toys.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So in this case, I think you're going to have to put the price aside because it's a character that you love, that you want, unless it completely misses the mark. And it's like Generations Galvatron. It's a size too small. It doesn't work. It doesn't look good. Then you can be justified, and you'll feel better about doing it anyway than buying something that you don't like just because of the name.
Right.
But if it's what you want, and you think it's true to the character, you can find other ways to help knock down the price on the back end.
Right.
So that's something I think everyone has to consider as like, it's like the Magic Square Bruticus. I bought the upgrade kit today. I wasn't expecting it to be $95, but it does give you several important parts. Still no gun. That Bruticus still has no gun, which I don't understand But I'm hoping that there will be another gun available in some fashion.
Jason will
But
3D print one for you.
I'm pretty sure
I
it
might
could.
I might have to ask you to do that because I mean, this Magic Square Bruticus is pretty damn awesome. They give
I've been
you
thinking about getting one.
yeah, he comes with all the toy parts to do the toy. The upgrade kit gives you the colored feet to go with Swindle and Brawl. It gives you the blast off chest plate, and it gives you some cannon extensions and stuff.
Does he
So
give
it's
you a
a pretty
shockwave?
no, no. There's no
Okay,
shockwave in
I
it, but
might have to look into doing the shockwave in an actual gun
yeah.
form.
Well, you could probably buy a Doctor Wu shockwave and it would work just
I wonder
fine.
if that would work. I don't know. Does it
Don't take it
scale?
away from him.
No,
Don't
but
take it away from him.
I'm just thinking, like, would it scale right in his hand? That's the question. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think
Well,
you necessarily have to have a transform. At least it make it
let's
look
say
good being in his hand.
it's the sunbow animation.
Yeah.
Scale is not important because he can be anything in any scene. So you'll just say, "Oh, he's from that one scene," and then it works.
Fair.
But anyway, that's going back to what we were talking about. I think with this third party stuff, if there's going to be a long wait, you're either going to have to say, is it worth it? Because if you've not paid money for it up front, you have nothing invested but time. And just occasionally check back on your pre-order and see if anything has happened, or wait and see if you hear anything from the store or from the company. If you've got money invested, then you have more skin in the game.
Get
And
that
you're
money
going to have,
back.
if you can get that money back, either a store credit or a refund. Because I would have to think most places would say, like, okay, you've had this pre-order for 4 years, you paid for it, it's obviously not coming out. We had your money, so here is some store credit. Here's what you paid in store credit, because it all washes out in the end, and you don't lose a customer. But you know, this hobby is exhausting. It's
It can be.
wonderful. It's fun. It's fun, and it's better than other hobbies that involve things that you can go to jail for. So there's that. Uh, there's a reason. There's a reason we call this plastic crack. Y'all do realize that.
100%.
Yeah. But anyway, that's
I mean,
that's some of the
I
thoughts.
was I was having a discussion with somebody today at the toy shop when I was working. Yeah, this is an addiction. It can be, but the way I combated it was, will it fit on the shelf? Because I don't want my figures to live in boxes anymore. I have literally told myself, if it doesn't fit, I don't need it. If I can't make room for it, then it doesn't belong. So that's how I've handled purging and keeping my controlling by collecting under control. I know some people can't, but I get that. I get if you're like Don, you're like, I've got all this, I want to set it up, I don't know what direction I want to go. I can completely understand that because I've been in those shoes before too. It can be daunting, very daunting and very exhausting.
Daunting.
Daunting, yes. But like I said, maybe like I was telling you, Don, maybe group them together. Like, these are Armada, these are Energon, these are Beast Wars, so on and so forth, and be like, okay, what do I have room for on shelves? Do I need to buy a couple more shelves? Will this fit? And then be like, okay, what am I going to keep out of those? What really speaks to me out of those? And you'll find out that you'll be like, hey, I got rid of like 10 figures I didn't really give a crap about. I forgot they even bought. That I had no association with because I just got it because some background dude that doesn't do anything and doesn't even matter, Or it's like, why do I need 5 of this same Optimus Prime just because he's, I don't know, rainbow bright colored or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things, it's like, you find out which ones actually fit in and which ones don't as you start really kind of digging through your collection and figuring out what is what. I understand trying to find parts. I'll be honest with you, dude. If you're going through stuff, you find the parts for it, build a parts box and just put them in there. Like, look, I'll figure them out as I go along. Or if you have the figure in hand, slap the figure, slap the pieces on the figure, and then stick it on the shelf. That's kind of how I handled that when it came to like trying to find bits and pieces. As I'm going along, when I'm digging through this bin, digging through this cardboard box, pulling the parts out of the whatever box it came in shipped, you know, it can be very daunting, but if you kind of maybe narrow it down a little bit, it's a little easier to handle, and then you're like able to consolidate and do kind of what Megamus did with like putting little index cards with stuff, so that way it's not so insane. It's just one little thing at a time. Just tackle one little corner. It, what was the analogy people used to say? How do you eat an elephant? One tiny bite at a time.
I had a manager one time. That was what he says. I can eat an elephant one bite at a time. He said that.
And honestly, there's some truth to that. It works. And I think it would probably help you out too, Don. If you just kind of, just don't look at it as a huge daunting task. Be like, I'm going to focus on
Yes.
these 5 boxes that are right here, right in front of me. That's what I'm going to focus on right now. Before you know it, you're done with that 5 boxes. You moved on and done 20 more because you didn't realize how much time you spent doing it all. You're like, holy cow, I got a long ways through here, you know? And then you go back and look and it's like, oh, well, now I can actually move this stuff I just shoved on a shelf that was going to put something there, and now I can actually fit it. So, but anyway, I didn't mean to take over the conversation.
No. I've done that before.
I guess we just need to kind of do our final thoughts tonight, and then we had one other thing you wanted to talk about, but do we want to save that for next week?
What was it?
Or what? I thought you had like 3 different things on there, but maybe you only
Let me look. My memory. I have no memory anymore. Who are you? Where am I again? What am I doing?
Oh,
Huh?
thought we covered everything.
I think we did too, maybe.
Let me
Yeah,
look.
I think you did.
You
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you covered it all. Okay, cool. So it's all covered.
Yeah.
Sweet. I thought there might have been one more.
Yeah, that was it. I'll ask her what she wants us to cover next week.
That's a good idea. All right, so we'll start with Megamus, have him do his final thoughts, and then we'll move on to do Don, and then I will close us and get us out of here. Go ahead, Megamus.
As far as cutting down your collection, as always, just do what you want to do. I mean, if you like this figure, great. If you don't, you move it along, whatever. I tend to limit myself on how much space I allot. If that's not an issue and you want to make the biggest collection anyone has ever seen, go for it. I say go for it. Love to see it. Don't worry so much about the money aspect unless money's an issue. Don't worry so much about the space issue unless it is an issue. I mean, it's like, honestly, I could say the same thing. Why, if there's a new figure coming out and you kind of want it, you get rid of the old one. If you want to, yeah. If you don't want to, don't. So, there's no right or wrong answers on any of this stuff. The only thing I could say is just try not to regret later. I'm not saying you're not going to. Just try not to. And the corny stuff. Always have fun. Be nice to each other. All that jazz and everything, because we need to be that way. But ultimately, they're just toys, man. It's just a hobby. A hobby is not life changing. Well, it can be, but it shouldn't be. It's something you do to relax, not to stress over. Even if you're trying to Donomics the heck out of it, it's still a hobby. Enjoyable. That's it. That's all I got.
That's what you got done.
Pretty much, that's it. That's what I want to say is, hopefully as the weeks and the months progress, you'll be seeing this all here take shape, and I'll update everyone on what I'm doing, how it's going, maybe even what I've sold, what I'm selling, just so everyone can be a part of the process, and maybe I can help someone. And there's not many out there that's probably in my age in this state. I'm sure there are, but if someone younger, if I can help them not get to this point where you can enjoy your collection because it's everywhere. So hopefully I can make some progress and have some cool stuff to talk about in the meantime.
Yep. Jason?
And like I was saying, and everybody else was saying, collect however you want to collect, as long as it's not hampering your life. That's how I like to say it. And if it is, maybe it's time to stop and actually look at what you have, what actually brings you joy, what doesn't, and then go from there. Don't be afraid to sell the stuff. Don't be afraid to ask friends. Don't be afraid to go to your local comic shop and say, hey, I've got these. What do you give me for stored credit or cash? People do that. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing to be embarrassed about at all when it comes to this hobby.
And also, if you have a lot of things that you sometimes getting rid of something just to get the space is more important than whatever money you may or may not get. I have a very hard time believing that, but I've been told it's true. There's always your Habitat for Humanities during the holidays. There's the Toys for Tots and things like that. So always keep that in mind if that's an option that you can live with, that I'm going to lose money on this stuff. But some kids somewhere that can make their day. So that could also be an option as well.
And you can also help out a fellow collector that way too. Like say you have fell out of love with the Seekers, like the Generation Seekers, or say you don't want the Earthrise Seekers anymore. Say you're like, you know what, I do want to get that new one. Let the Earthrise ones go to people that wanted them. Some people might not have gotten a chance to get them because distribution's kind of crap. People are out there looking for them still, even though it may be a figure that came out many years ago. People are still looking for it. They just want to get it at a good cost. Maybe you're saying, hey, the space is worth more than money, which honestly, in a lot of ways, it can be.
Yeah, just don't do that for the BotCon seekers. You might not want to do that.
No. You can get some good money out of the BotCon. It's just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But anyway, that being said, I think we're going to close and get out of here and see you guys next week.
Bye, everybody.
Night, everybody.